Hey, it's Drybear. While we're testing the high power round weapons in the First Descendant, we discovered a interaction with one of the modules for high power rounds that is kind of interesting. Now, I'm sure many of you know that we've been working through all the weapons in the game, but every time we move on to a new ammo type, we have to redo all of our calculations because not only are there different modules for every single one of the ammo types, the modules themselves have different stats on them. They'll have higher or lower values. They also have new modules that we'll have to recalculate, and on top of that, the reroll stats on these as well are going to be all different. The amount that you can get for the flat values goes way up. So for example, you might be able to get 3,000 firearm attack against Colossus on a general rounds weapon, but on a launcher you can go up to almost 30,000, which is a 10x multiplier, an order of magnitude bigger. So there came the question of like which of these special modules are the best on the launchers, sniper rifles, and shotguns. There's an interesting interaction with one of these. There's going to be obviously your usual suspects, but you have these kind of conditional mods: dopaminergic activate, weak point expansion, and strengthen first shot, which is a high power round exclusive. The way these conditional mods usually work, like with dopaminergic activate or with weak point expansion, is that when you hit a target while this buff is off cooldown, it'll apply for the hit and then go on cooldown. However, that is not how they implemented the strengthen first shot module. This one is after you reload, your first shot has upwards of 200% firearm attack. So the maxed out version is 200%, unmaxed out is 100%. So if we put this on a sniper rifle, right, we can kind of put this on the sniper rifle and test it out. We have a normal shot. 133 is our damage. If we reload, it's not going to have any modifier. There's no buff icon. It doesn't tell you that it's active. But if you shoot your first shot with a sniper rifle, you can see that that had the extra firearm attack on it. It was double the damage on our first shot. If we shoot again, it's back down to normal damage, which means that normally if you use this, there is a major downside with this kind of implementation. Normally with dopaminergic activate, weak point expansion, you have the opportunity to miss a few times before you strike the target and you still get that value. However, with this module specifically, since it's listening for your first shot in your magazine after reload, not your first hit after shooting, if you reload and you miss your first shot, so we miss, we just reloaded, it's back down to normal 133k damage for this blue weapon we're using. So you lose the benefit entirely if you miss that first shot. But there's an interesting interaction that makes this a good thing for launchers and a bad thing for shotguns and for sniper rifles. Because with sniper rifles and shotguns, they are hit scan or instant fire, or they hit as soon as you shoot. There's no travel time, there's no projectile. But with launchers, there is. So you can shoot shots out of launchers and they will take some time before they detonate or explode. There's the explosion for the shot. And actually, the way this is programmed is it gives you the damage buff to your character, to your weapon shots with that weapon, until your first shot is completed. Again, on sniper rifles, that's meaningless. As soon as you shoot, first shot's done. If we shoot again, that's second shot, that's third shot. There's no interaction there at all. However, with launchers, because they're projectiles, what you can do is, if we shoot once, we can see that's 116 on the normal. We reload. What we can do is we can keep the first shot alive for as long as we possibly can, and while that first shot is still in flight, it's still active in the game world, you will benefit from strengthened first shot on no matter how many other shots you shoot. So if we take our first shot and fire it off into space, give it a little space cadet treatment, double, 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 double. First shot explodes, now we're back down, there it is, now we're back down to normal damage. So that 200% firearm attack that we got applied to every single shot that we had until that first shot has expired. You wouldn't really notice this in normal play, and you wouldn't really notice this. The big downside here is I was testing to see if launchers were going to be good with this mod or not. Obviously, I just reloaded. If I shoot and hit the ground and then shoot my second shot, not amplified. The damage didn't go up because my first shot is done. I missed my first shot. My module's now on cooldown. I don't get the value. But if you intentionally keep the first shot active and then unload, you get more opportunities. Now, if we look at each of these launchers, they all have different travel times. It doesn't work for the Guardian because the Guardian only has one round. So it has a higher reload than every other launcher, but when you shoot, you have to reload with every shot, which is kind of unfortunate. If you take the other launchers though, some of these like Vestigial Organ is really good at this because it fires straight. You can keep that shot active for a very long time, which means you can unload with this and get tons and tons of damage out of it. Some launchers, like the Lightspeed Barrel, is also good for this because the travel time's a little bit slower than some of the other launchers. So you can keep this in the air for a good amount of time. If it's a lob launcher like Death's Roar or Lightspeed Barrel or Tamed Beast, you just gotta give it a bit of an arc and try to keep that first shot alive for as long as possible, and you'll get that bonus for that. However, Tamed Beast and Death Roar specifically, they have a little bit faster travel time on the projectile. You'll notice that these are actually pretty quick. So you can only have it active for a short period of time, but you can still get a couple shots in from that. And this actually gets kind of interesting as well with the ultimates, which we'll talk about in a second. And then this is Death Roar. If you have this one equipped, you can keep this shot active for a decent amount of time. But again, unlike the other ones we mentioned, like it seems to be best on Vestigial and Lightspeed Barrel because they have slower travel time. Then we look at the ultimate launchers, which has an interesting interaction with the sticky grenade launcher on Sigvores. So if we look at Restored Relic, this has a really slow fire rate, so it's hard to capitalize on this interaction, but you can keep this active for quite a while and get a couple shots out of it while that one goes. Now that one's dead, and you can keep shooting that whole time to get it. What's super cool though is if you look at the ultimate version Sigvore's launcher, this isn't really a rocket launcher, it's more of a sticky grenade launcher. So the way Sigvore's works is you shoot grenades and they stick to a target or a surface. These will be active, like as long as you're holding down ADS, like your right click or your left trigger, you'll have this like zoomed in until either they time out or you let go. So you can shoot and let go of your ADS and they'll detonate. But since we follow that same rule, where as long as the first grenade, the first projectile, the first shot is still alive and active in the game world, all shots will benefit from that. So you can load up Sigvores on a target and then let go, and every single one of them, as long as the first shot was still alive when they detonated, will benefit from Strengthened First Shot. This creates a ton of really interesting opportunities to use Strengthened First Shot for launchers. I don't know if this is intended or not, or if they plan to hotfix this or bug fix this, but it is super interesting for characters like Glay. When you activate your infinite rounds ability, you can pop that open and use the weapons. You probably even use it on Guardian R4. By the way, Guardian R4 is pretty good. It's almost as good as Vestigial. It just has one round. So maybe with Glay, you could do some funny interactions where you use that to scale up the damage from the bonus, or just try to have that there. And I did try this in Colossus fights for the ones that are a little bit easier to use. So for like Lightspeed or like Vestigials, you can have this loaded, and then even though there is a skybox, there's no roof in a Colossus fight, I mess around with this a bunch. You can shoot it off into the distance, and then all of your shots will have that bonus until that shot, explodes, but they still do time out. There's a fizzle time for the projectile, so it might go off into space and disappear. It might hit some random sky hitbox that's off in the distance. But if you can get good at planning out your shots so that you can actually have that first one live as long as possible by like launching it into the stratosphere and then unloading with that damage input, you have that damage window. And there's not really any weapons in the game that have that kind of scaling. Like you can actually get a ridiculous amount of damage coming out of this for Strengthened First Shot. And you can also do things like, Firing Fiesta. You can have that on a different weapon. Since Firing Fiesta works on normal weapons, you can actually have a general rounds weapon in this slot, right? Like we swap this in, we load it, we put it in Firing Fiesta, reload, activate, switch over to our launcher, unload with Strengthened First Shot. While that damage window is open, we get burst damage from that, and we're able to combo that together. So I just wanted to share this discovery. We'll be calculating as part of our calculations for the launchers in general, but I want to see if people can come up with some really cool ways to use it, or if it's going to get fixed soon, just be aware of it and have fun with it while it's still active, because it does create some really fun and interesting opportunities to do some really big burst damage. And I'm sure with characters like Glay, you could do some really fun stuff. So let me know what we should cover in the next video. See you in the next one. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people. And don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.